Hello, I would like to welcome everyone to the webinar prepared by the Noise Control Building Materials Market Group here at Kinetics Noise Control. This market group specializes in isolated floors, ceilings, and walls. My name is David King, and I will be the presenter for this webinar. My role within the market group is Client Solutions Coordinator. I work alongside of the Kinetics reps to provide technical information for the specified products involved for your projects. If at any point I use any terminology that you are unfamiliar with, please let me know in the chat and I will do what I can to assist. Here at Kinetics Noise Control, we do appreciate feedback on how we can better serve you and your project. If there is something that we touch on here or another subject in general that you would like a deeper in-depth presentation on, please let us know. I would like to know before we start how familiar everyone is with floor flatness numbers and the relationship with isolated floors. You should be seeing a poll appear on your screen. Please take a quick moment and let me know where you best line up. We appreciate your feedback. Following the webinar, a survey will be available for you to provide specific feedback and suggestions for upcoming webinar subjects. If for any reason you missed a section of the presentation, please visit our website after the presentations have been completed. There you can find a live recorded version of this presentation for you to review and revisit. After the presentation, I will also be available for one-on-one sessions to specifically answer your questions if needed. To schedule your session, please feel free to email me at dking@kineticsnoise.com. In today's presentation, we will be covering and discussing the critical role floor flatness plays in an isolated floor system. The topics and sections we are going to cover are F sub F and F sub L numbers, corrections, rim and kip floor systems, spring lift slab systems. So what are F sub F and F sub L numbers? F sub F and F sub L are numbers that relate to the flatness and levelness of a structural floor. These numbers can be acquired through a digital profilograph. Consult the manufacturer's specifications for proper usage. The readings are acquired from 12-inch spans of the structural floor, measuring from the high points to the low points. F sub F refers to the flatness of the floor. There are two readings, global and local. Global refers to the entire slab, whereas local refers to the 12-inch spans. This is an example of a floor that is level but not flat. F sub L refers to the levelness of the structural floor. Here is an example of a floor that is flat but not level. The specified flatness numbers required for Kinetics floating floors are an overall of 38 and a local minimum value of 25. This chart is to assist with understanding the F sub F and F sub L numbers. It is important to know that it is not just isolated floors that require the structure to be flat and level. Tiling, underlayments, and even common snap and lock wood flooring in residentials require a certain degree of flatness and levelness. The straight edge method. Though there is no direct equation for equaling F sub F readings and a deficit over a 10-foot area, below are the closest equivalents. F sub F 25, you can notice, is half as flat as F sub F 50, and therefore F sub F 50 is half as flat as an F sub F 100. The straight edge method is flawed with human error, as two contractors can measure the same floor while never placing the 10-foot level in the exact same position and location. Corrections. So you've inherited a structural floor that does not meet the required floor flatness numbers. Do not fear, corrections can be made early in the construction schedule to ensure proper installation of the isolated system. High spots can be grounded down, while low spots can be remedied by using high compressive strength leveling compound. It is important that the compound properly and fully cures to manufacturer specs before installing the isolation system. After the compound has cured, we now have a floor that is flat and level. Whether your project calls for spring lift slab or a rim kip isolated system, if it is installed before the compound is cured, the isolators can and may sink into the compound, rendering the effort to improve the floor's conditions ineffective. Moving on to rim and kip floor systems. When a rim kip system is installed on a floor that meets and/or exceeding the flatness requirements, we can see that the floor buildup or loss pouring form will engage all of the kips as designed. Whereas the kips that are installed over a floor that did not meet the flatness requirements, we can see that not all of the kips are engaged properly. This will lead to greater loads being imposed on fewer isolators. In the first example, we are able to determine the deflection of the system. In the second example, it is nearly impossible to determine the deflection of the system since some of the isolators are not properly engaged. If the structural floor is not corrected before installation and the concrete is poured, the weight of the concrete will bow the loss pouring form, leading to complications. This will also lead to stresses and strains within the isolated slab, leading to potential cracking. An isolated floor with a plywood buildup may be able to span over the low spots. But once weight is applied, whether that is from the weight of a person's foot, equipment, or the furniture, the low spots will become apparent. Next, for the spring lift slab systems. Continuing with the two examples. The first example, where the structural floor was corrected, the isolators are placed, the concrete is poured, represented by the green. Here we can see an even distribution of the concrete and access to the lids of each isolator. In the second example, we see what happens when the structural floor was not corrected. Yes, the top of the concrete is flat. However, the two isolators can be seen are buried with no access and will support more weight. In this instance, access to the cans need to be chiseled out of the poured concrete. Springs then installed, and after being lifted, we can see that the two outside isolators are supporting additional weight of concrete. This will make the lifting sequence difficult, and you can notice that the airspace will be different, not true and consistent as specified. This instance will also lead to potential cracking of the isolated slab. In conclusion, it is important to know that Kinetics' floor flatness requirements are a specified overall global of 38 and a minimum local value of 25. The floor flatness numbers can be improved through grinding of high spots and the use of high compressive strength leveling compound. It is better to take the time to ensure the structural floor meets the project's requirements before the installation of the isolation material to avoid rework of your hard work and installation. As always, we feel that it is very important that you know how to contact your local representative for your current, next, and upcoming projects. On the Kinetics webpage, in the upper right banner, under Contact, select Local Representatives. You will be prompted to this page. Please enter the location of your project. Under the Select Noise Control Types, select Floors, Ceilings, and Partitions. Find your rep. Here you will see a pin drop on the location of your project, also with the company's name, their website, a point of contact, a direct name, a phone number, and an email if available. As always, we are here to assist with your understanding of your up and coming projects and how Kinetics can be a critical part. If you have questions on this webinar, please feel free to contact me or a member of our team through the phone with the extension of 752 or by email at arcsales@kineticsnoise.com. This concludes the webinar on floor flatness requirements and their critical role in isolation material. Do we have any questions that would like to be addressed at this time? Seeing no current questions, this will conclude our webinar. Please be on the lookout for a survey following up about this webinar and any potential future subjects that you would like covered. I think we have a question. Looks like Paul McWaters has raised his hand earlier.
Didn't show up. Where do I write their answer?
Hmm?
Where do I write the answer?
That was a question that you sent in.
Hey, can you guys hear me? I just unmuted my mic.
Yeah, I can hear you.
The question was on that machine that measures the flatness. Is it pretty common that all concrete contractors have that?
The question for those that were not able to hear is the profilograph machine a very common piece of equipment or tool amongst concrete contractors? Based upon my experience, I think it would be. I would want to. That might be something that is a question that you ask the concrete contractor or installer on your next project, just to see if they do have that tool or if it needs to be rented and tested to get your readings of the structural floor of the project. So I think that I would add that to the checklist on future projects there to make sure that the concrete contractor has one or has access to one. I think this will conclude the webinar. If anyone has posted a question, please know that we will get them addressed in a timely manner. Again, I am available for any specific questions after following this webinar. Again, my email is dking@kineticsnoise.com. Thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Oh, did you say something about the follow-up?
Yeah, I mentioned that in the
All I got was a thank you.